of faith-based education.
Hello, I'm Dwayne Thompson with Integrity Mortgage Group, and I support Guerin Catholic High School because I'm good friends and business partners with assistant coach Tommy Mascari. And any chance I have to support a Christ-centered education for today's youth, I take advantage of that opportunity and support in any way I can with my time, effort, volunteering, funds, and commercials like these.
Together we soar.
Guerin Catholic Sports on IndianaSRN,
where you're always in the game.
Welcome to Hamilton Southeastern High School in this presentation of Indiana High School Lacrosse on IndianaSRN, the only place where you can get high school lacrosse in the state of Indiana. I'm Joey Lindstrom alongside my broadcast partner Troy Darengowski. Today's matchup features two top teams in Class 2A, the number 3rd ranked team and host today, Hamilton Southeastern, and the number 4th ranked team, Culver Academy. Well, Troy, today is a day where we can see both teams who are trying to figure themselves out still. You look at Hamilton Southeastern and the way that they've operated in their season, and Culver and the way they've operated in their season. But let's first get to our sponsors for today. Let's first
it's been
up,
a while, right, Joey?
Morales Group, building better futures one story at a time. Bertner Electric, your licensed and experienced electricians serving Central Indiana. IUPUI Sports Management, a lifetime of sports with a winning degree. Piper Logistics, 3 services, 1 solution. And finally, Reynolds Farm Equipment, your hometown farm equipment dealer. I got so excited about the game I forgot to do our ad reads, and our producer Jerry's in my ear. So now let's get to the nitty-gritty. First, let's start with this Culver team. They've only played 5 games this season.
Yeah.
And they played a tough schedule. They've defeated so far Crown Point. They just had finished their victory against Crown Point. And then they also were winners against Penn up by South Bend. So, they're still trying to get their feet wet, yet they only have this game and then 5 more after this before they head into the state tournament. What have you seen from this team, and what are some of the good things that show, even though this is technically just still the beginning of their season?
Well, first off, it's good to be back because you and I haven't seen a broadcast microphone in a long time. Maybe you have, but I have not. And number 2, seemed like the last 2 times we were here, it was raining or going to rain or possible rain. So it's nice to have a nice day weather-wise finally. The 5 games surprised me more than anything when I looked at their schedule and saw that they only had 5 so far. So that, I think, is going to be a big factor today because you're playing the defending state champions. You're playing a team that has a lot of experience. You're playing a team that does so many good things. The only nice thing about it, if you're Culver, is that you don't have to face Loudon Sunderland, who will not play today, and that'll be a big key. I'll be curious just to see the cohesiveness, how they're going to come together. Speaking of Culver, only 5 games under their belt against a team that has played so many more games.
And on the Hamilton Southeastern side, you see some of the seniors from last year getting honored as they celebrate their state championship win in Class 2A last season for 2021, and Scott Beasley down there sporting the championship ring. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty on this team. Their only in-state loss has been to Cathedral, and the rest of their games have been out-of-state losses. They're at a record of 9-5 right now. And for this Royals team, you look at the way that they've improved over the season, the stark difference from the last time we saw them play on IndianaSRN to now, their face-off percentage up 20% from the last time we saw them. That's been helping them a lot, getting into the possession on the offensive side.
Well, and as you two know, and we've talked about this before, they play such a very, very difficult schedule, and that continued. When you think about that loss to Cathedral, it was a 13-10 final. Both these teams now know they played somebody. Cathedral, again, had knocked off Culver as well, 13-5. So you really do know the schedule's been very tough. So I don't look at Hamilton Southeastern and go, gee, what's wrong? They're 9-5, 9-6, whatever the case may be. They have played such a good schedule, and they're going to make a run. We talked about that the last time we're here. They're going to make a run in that tournament because of all the good teams they played.
We are getting ready for action here. We're going to take a break for the national anthem here on IndianaSRN. Do not go anywhere. Number 3, number 4, set to match up here after the break.
From warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
You want a career that creates experiences that are impossible to forget. By studying sports and events at IUPUI, you'll get hands-on experience in and out of the classroom. And with Indy as your classroom, there are high-profile events, sports franchises, hotels, museums, and large organizations across the city to engage, educate, and enlighten your student journey before you graduate. There isn't a better city than Indianapolis to get the experience you need to prepare you to handle any event, big or small. It all starts here.
This is the Frells family's land. When the sun comes out, the kids run and play right there. This used to be a shed. Now, it's where they get breakfast. This is more than just land. It's home. The Frells family runs with us on a John Deere 1 Series tractor. His land isn't the only thing that should live on for generations. Nothing runs like a Deere. Search John Deere 1 Series for more.
Visit Reynolds Farm Equipment, your hometown John Deere dealer today at reynoldsfarmequipment.com.
At Morales Group Staffing, we are all about building better futures. And during these times, we are working hard to put people to work. We are now hiring for hundreds of jobs with pay up to $17 an hour. Visit our website at moralesgroup.net or text JOBS, JOBS, to 317-472-7600 to apply now and get hired today.
We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at IndianaSRN. Find upcoming games, video highlights, and much more. Follow us now at IndianaSRN.
And welcome back to Hamilton Southeastern. Culver Academy and IHSAA getting set here to do battle. And we are set here as well in the booth, Troy. We have so much excitement ready for this game and so much excitement for the rest of the season. Each of these teams in the state have just about 5 or 6 games left to play in the season. This is really that home stretch where coaches start to figure out exactly what works, and then they start to tweak little things here and there. But let's talk about each of the defensive units and markedly the goalkeepers for each of these squads. Let's start with Hamilton Southeastern. Kreckler has been on a tear as of late. He's been the all-stater that we know that he is, and it's been shown that in the way that he's communicated to his defense how good this team has been.
Well, and what is surprising about him so much for us is his ability to move up and down, especially when he's down, and his ability to come up, and that's always the toughest thing of all. We talked about that time and time again. If you have a high shot, and he's able to come up and get it. That's what surprised me the most, because you look at him and you go, how's he that quick? So his quickness as a goalkeeper has just been tremendous, and his save percentage is over 60% coming into this one here today, and 148 saves. Culver's really going to have to exploit him heavily today. They're going to put a lot of pressure on him and get some early goals and kind of set the tone, because as the game goes deep, he gets a lot tougher.
At the face-off X for Hamilton Southeastern, Blaine Wirtz working against Mason Smith. Culver's going to take this one away. Smith gets it, and he'll run it down. A windy day, if you can't tell. Crosswind coming across the field. Culver also without their head coach, Drew Lambert, today. And they will be headed by assistant Dave Bonner. This varsity team 3-2 on the season. Looking for their 4th win to compound their efforts. And if they can get that today against the Hamilton Southeastern team, who is by no means struggling at all. They've won all their games in state -1. This is a game for Culver that would really do a lot for them, for their morale heading into the state tournament in a couple weeks.
Especially you come on the road like this and beat a Hamilton Southeastern team, that would be very, very big. But they're going to have to be patient on offense, and passing's going to be a big key, and they're going to have to get clears, and those ground balls are going to be huge today as well.
Chapman out front. He was defended hard. Kreckler's there once again to save.
Well, they did a great job checking his stick as well. I know they were trying to wind up and get a shot right in front of the cage like that, but it was a nice job. Hamilton Southeastern has always been very good at checking that stick and make sure you don't get a really good look at a decent shot.
What are a couple of the keys to each offense today for you, Troy?
Well, I'm still going to think patience here for Culver. They're going to want to keep this thing, I think, a little bit low scoring, because we have seen Hamilton Southeastern in games where they can score and they can score quickly. Now, without Sunderling today, it could be a little more of an advantage for Culver.
Kreckler there, standing tall and saving that one. He'll clear out.
Now, on the other side, this is exactly what you're going to see Hamilton Southeastern do. Now, the one thing that'll kind of slow them down a little bit in the first half will be going into the wind, and that's going to be a huge key for this one today. They're a team, Hamilton Southeastern, they're very, very dominant in the first and fourth quarters, and if they get out to a really fast start, that'll be another big key today, and that's generally what we have seen them do all season long.
Turnover here, the first of the day for Hamilton Southeastern. Poking that one away, I think that what helped that ball get out of bounds is Russell Wilkinson of Culver poking that one away. They also have a close defender, Jaden Kerr, who just got drafted to the U.S. Hockey League, and he is an absolute menace with the long ball. He's their best defensive player. Quick goal, though, for Culver on the back end. George Van Petersum.
Well, he's one of the guys we were talked about. You got to look for Van Petersum, and he got a really good look off that left side. And again, that's going to be one of the other keys. And we mentioned a little bit ago, if Culver can get off to a good start here today, kind of set the tone, that might make the difference, but we've got a long way to go.
This is a Culver team as well that, you know, the way it works, for those of you that don't know, Culver also has a prep team that plays nationally throughout the season. They essentially tour the country playing some of the best lacrosse teams in the nation. They themselves are top 10 in the country every single year, and so their varsity squad is often overshadowed by the prep team, but they should not be, because this is always a good team.
Well, and you're right. The bottom line is it's just like Hamilton Southeastern. You know, they got so many great players year in and year out. And what I'm always impressed when I get here is I see a lot of the young kids carrying their equipment around, and they're going to be playing a little bit of halftime today because they want to be a part of this Hamilton Southeastern program. Same at Culver. I mean, those kids up there want to be a part of it.
Right. And they'll have a lot of kids that travel from all over the place to go play. The player with the ball right now, Jack Ridgway, he grew up playing in the IHSAA youth system, so he knows all these guys. This is a little bit of personal vendetta here today.
Well, and we mentioned the patience. Look how patient they are. They're going to play with it out front. When they feel that they can get an attack going here, that's when they'll make their move, and that's what they did on the last possession in which they scored. Really good patience.
Ridgway, top of essentially the arc there. That shot's going to be saved by Kreckler.
Well, the shot went low. Was going to be in those skip shots right there. But again, we've talked so much about Kreckler and his ability to play down low. If you're going to get Kreckler, you're going to play a little bit higher.
Culver was working to press on their ride to prevent Hamilton Southeastern from clearing. The Royals get it going. See how they work today. You mentioned it. Loudon Sundling out today with an injury. He played earlier this week against Fishers. But from what we're told up here, it's just a minor injury, so maybe just a little maintenance. Keep him out for this game. Got to have him for the home stretch. Italiano back behind. There's another poke check away, this time by Ridgway. There's some discrepancy for the referees.
Yeah, I think they're going to say it was touched by Culver, so you're talking about Sundling a little bit ago, 4 goals in that game against Fishers, in which they won that one 8-2. So, coaches don't use any excuses whatsoever, but they'll use it as a factor, knowing, listen, he's out of the lineup, somebody else, and that old adage is going to have to step up here today.
That shot by Askins was blocked in front. Wilkinson took it right into the tricep. We're able to turn down the crowd mic. You just hear the kids. Here's Runo. Had a few steps to Crow Hop, and that one's wide of the cage.
Boy, and how many times we've seen that young man. Last time we were here, it was score, 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 so he can do it very quickly.
He's got 24 goals on the season, and rightfully so. He hit the first goal against Carmel in the state championship last year after Hamilton Southeastern kind of had a bit of a drought in that first quarter. And then after that, the floodgates just opened up, and he's been a big spark for them all season.
Well, he just knows how to put the ball in the cage. That's no doubt about that when you watch him play. And I think he likes to do it in streaks, too, just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then, it's not that he takes time off, but other guys getting involved in the offense as well.
Get him involved quickly. Garrett Smith, that one actually was right off the face of the goalkeeper. Metaliano is on the rebound.
Metaliano's not a big guy. But the one thing, he's very, very quick, and you can see that when he's in the cage right there. He really plays that ball extremely well. Very rarely gets his head turned to the point where he doesn't see where that ball is and gets caught off guard.
Aiden Tuzik is in net today for Culver. Saves at 48% so far this season. He's a solid one in between the sticks.
That Jaden Kerr, you look at him, number 21, just right in front of the keeper as well. And not only is he a tall, as you see Hamilton Southeastern score right there for the first time.
Connor Runo got a couple steps on his defender and puts that one in the back of the net.
But I was just about ready to talk a little bit about number 21, Jaden Kerr. He got a little stick on that last pass that disrupted Hamilton Southeastern's offense in that last possession. And so you saw Hamilton Southeastern go away from him on the other side and found success with their first goal.
Check this replay out once again. Connor Runo outside that 8-meter mark for what would be the women's lax games. It's an interesting way to see how these guys operate and the way they can shoot and how they've matured over their years. Something Scott Beasley's been very happy with. Here's Bones. Quick transition offense. And, that was almost a beautiful play. Garrett Smith couldn't haul that one in.
Well, that's where the Royals are really very dangerous. When they get on that fast break like that, off of the face-off, get those guys out of position on the defensive side. You saw the crisp passing and just a little bit off the mark right there. Otherwise, they certainly would have had a pretty good look.
Culver without the ball for a couple minutes here. This first quarter flying by, 5.5 left to play. And while Culver seems to be, they're already even strength. They were playing a trick on me. I saw one man in the box. I was like, did we miss a penalty somehow? IHSAA trying to clear here. Getting up to Grace. Across the way, that ball is flying too fast.
I'll go back to that last save there by Kreckler again. You're not going to be able to get him straight on. The one thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to shoot high, I believe, because he is, again, anything from his chest down, he is unbelievable. So you're going to have to find a way not only to get him play out of position, but try to go high in your shot.
I agree. Anything low for these tall players definitely helps. That one is brushed off Kreckler's left forearm, and it's going to be out of bounds. Culver, the closest team to it.
Yeah, Mark Wagner had a pretty good look at it that time, and he was just trying to find that slot in the upper right part of the cage, but unable to get there. But now a turnover by Culver.
Charlie Fall had the ball, and it was poked away off the great check by Nolan Canese. He forces that turnover.
Yeah, got to keep, if you're Culver, keep the turnovers down here. Make sure every possession counts. At least make that defense work a little bit every time down the field. Yeah, I was watching a little bit. I told you that Duke and Notre Dame matchup earlier today.
Yep.
And I didn't know this, but a lot of players like playing on a football field. I didn't know this because they like the hash marks. They kind of know where they can gauge on the field where the
Interesting.
Yeah, I never really thought about that.
That does make sense to me. I feel like, way back when I played, I feel like that was actually that does make a difference, especially spacing on defense too.
Yeah. Well, you kind of know then, as a player, you can kind of look down and see, even sense where those hash marks are, and kind of know where your positioning is. I never really thought about that. Now, Notre Dame doesn't have those hash marks. They got their own field because they're Notre Dame and they don't need to play in the football field, but it really does make a lot of sense to see that on the field as you watch the game today.
We're going to have our first official deliberation today. Hamilton Southeastern yields the lacrosse ball. Brandon Segosio will get us started.
We talk so much about Hamilton Southeastern and their ability in the fast break area once they get a ground ball, like we saw the last time when they won off the face-off. But they're still very good in the half field here. That shot was missed only because they're able to pass the ball so well. And we'll see that when the tournament rolls around. I think it's going to be one of the big keys. Got to hold on to it, don't turn it over, and how you pass, because they're very, very good in this area.
Definitely something Scott Beasley has always mentioned to us, is just the ability to move the lacrosse ball and find that offense filtered through Garrett Smith. Up to Connor Runo, just like that. Runo's second goal of the day is 26th in the season.
Just crazy. You get everybody's head turned, and next thing you know, you got a pass out front, deep shot, and there's really nobody better than what he does. And Connor just winding up and sending that one in there with a lot of force behind it. Just a great shot.
When you have that length, too, you'll see it here on the replay. You see how he winds up? He steps with that toe. Awesome, awesome shot to give HSC the nod here so far. Well, after that opening goal from Culver, it's been sort of HSC defending well and then getting the ball back on offense and being patient, just like you said.
Well, we've seen them before. I mean, you go back to the meeting, I believe, against Carmel earlier this year. Carmel got off to a little bit of a fast start, but as I mentioned just moments ago, this is Hamilton Southeastern team. When you look at their numbers this year, they outscore their opponents in the first and fourth periods by far. And so that's where they're going to get off to a good start. They're going to put you in your place early, and then they'll put you away in the fourth quarter, and that's what has made them so successful over the years.
Well, they're going to gain this possession off the scrum in the middle, get their shot clock ready to go.
And that's one thing about it. Both these teams, you're going to see them here today. They both they can play any style. We can slow it down. We'll play half. We can go full. We can win the face-off. And if we have to beat you down the floor with quickness and speed, both teams can do that as well. So I'll tell you what, I don't know how the whole format's going to work when the tournament rolls around, but you might see these two teams somewhere in the tournament as well, and they kind of know that too, and that's why you kind of like to set the tone here today.
These two teams met in the semifinals last season in Class 2A, and HSC won that game by a clear margin as well. It didn't appear that Culver was ready for what HSC brought that day, but today seems a bit different. This attitude of this team, and talking with Coach Lambert over the phone, he told both of us, these guys, even though I'm absent today, the coach should not matter for their motivation, right? This is a deep enough team. They have the right skill set to keep the pace with somebody like HSC. That shot's wide of the cage of Kreckler. And HSC's going to turn this one over. But then you got to continue to find ways to score. That was a great opportunity right there. And if they could continue to build on that, this game's going to be close all day.
Well, and you're right. I mean, coaches can only do so much. I mean, and again, they're not out there playing. They're going to get you the game plan, and then it's up to you as a player to implement that game plan the best you can. And if any changes are made throughout the game, we'll take care of it there. But they go in, they know what they want to do. The play, and again, these two teams know each other pretty well. They're both state ranked. Again, as you'd mentioned, when you get to the tournament, anything can happen. So motivation, you're right, is not a factor. I don't travel all the way down here to not play well if I'm Culver. I come down here to win, set a statement, and know that I only have about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks left in the regular season.
Under a minute to go here in the first quarter for this 3-4 matchup. Smith working it back around. You see HSC flirting there with one man inside the box. Ground ball picked up briefly and lost again. That's Runo picking it up. He's going to be pushed down by Jaden Kerr.
You know, you win that 50-50 ball, a lot of times you end up finding the other team, if it's especially on the offensive end like Hamilton Southeastern, you'll see those defenders find themselves out of position. And the next thing you know, if you can pick up that 50-50 ball, you can have a pretty decent look at a good shot because those defenders have adjusted so much.
This is actually going to be a push with possession on Jaden Kerr. And he'll serve a minute in the box. This will carry over unless Hamilton Southeastern scores. Carry over into the second quarter, that is.
Well, this is almost the same exact setup we saw when they scored that first goal.
That one ripped away by Michael Mataliano. He's been a stellar player this season, leads the team in goals with 32. Only one close behind him is Loudon Sunling.
That was a tough angle on that one.
It was, yeah. If he wants to extend his lead on the team goals, today's the day to do it with Loudon being out.
Well, he wound up and shot that one. A couple of Culver guys were kind of ducking away a little bit. I don't blame him. That thing was in there pretty hard.
A speedy shot right there. 0.2 seconds. A significant amount of time left as Culver will run this one out. First quarter end here. Hamilton Southeastern leads 2-1. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with Indiana Lacrosse on IndianaSRN.
Entrepreneurs are often the hardest working, most beloved, and inspirational people on the planet. People who lead with heart and are fueled by passion. People like Randy, who found time while running his restaurants to put 3 adopted kids through college. Like Rebecca, who switched careers as an architect to achieve her dream of opening a music venue. And Mia, who turned an after-school hobby into an online floral empire. Entrepreneurs put the time in, lead by example, spark ideas, and impact communities, all while shaping the financial future of their families. Nearly 1 million entrepreneurs trust Heartland to provide the technology to make money, move money, manage employees, and engage customers. Because we're entrepreneurs, we're people, and we get it.
Welcome back to Hamilton Southeastern, where the Royals lead the Eagles of Culver Academy 2-1. See a replay here of the very last goal by Connor Runo, assist by Garrett Smith.
Looked like a Randy Johnson fastball like that. It just is.
Yeah, I guess it did.
Like that was crazy.
Two-sport athlete, playing 2 sports at the same time, maybe, for Connor Runo. Of course, I guess he would prefer to have a lacrosse stick in his hand if he's going to try to pitch. I don't know how that would work.
I don't know, we had a college pitcher the other day throw a fastball 105.5 miles per hour, I think is what it said it was. How in the world do you do that and not lose your arm?
Oh, it's just the key. He threw it and then his arm came with it.
I was going to say, he won't be throwing it very long if he keeps doing that.
So far, the face-off battle, HSC leads 3-1. And this has been indicative of the way they've progressed throughout this season. Much better at the face-off X.
Well, and that's been a huge difference, as you said. I mean, they were in, the 30s the last time we were here, and you get it up to where you are the way they have. I'm sure they probably worked on that quite a bit. throughout the last few weeks, because that's going to be a difference too. You know, think about the things like the face-off. You talk about the ground balls and such, and think about offense and such. But all these little things that come into this are huge, huge elements in winning state championships.
Stephen Gray trying to make something work. He's on a solo effort. He's going to dump it down to Fall as Culver works it around. Over to George Van Peet.
Yeah, good patience. Again, nothing really there. They made the move, but it wasn't available the way they had hoped in that seam down the front of the cage, and rather keep the possession and at least to live for another day to get another shot.
And Pete again, this time is true. Bouncer home, past Kreckler. And Culver ties it up.
Yeah, we talked about high, but that time they went that little skip shot right there, and it went right in between the legs of Kreckler, which is very unusual. But again, he plays very well down low, but that was a heck of a shot. Now, I don't know anything about from the angle of the sun and all those things. I wouldn't use that as an excuse, but he's facing the sun. It's hard to see where the ball is coming. I'm not so sure I would use that as a tactic as well.
I think that's fair. I mean, you look at this now, you see the way that Van Peet was able to just move away as his defender slid to the ball. And Kreckler really was facing the sun. That could be a factor.
Well, that's why in baseball, the bottom line is they wear their sunglasses. I don't think Kreckler probably wants to do that as a keeper.
A dark visor would be cool.
It would be neat, yeah.
I don't think they allow that in high school.
But I would imagine he could probably wear sunglasses under the helmet.
Sure.
Right?
I don't see why not. Here's Garrett Smith, defended by Jaden Kerr. By the way, our score bug, it is the second quarter with 10:30 to go. Shot, that one is saved. Tuzik once again, and he is a powerful keeper in goal. Here comes Jaden Kerr.
Yeah, great quickness on that shot, because that's exactly what Hamilton Southeastern was trying to do.
Kerr trying to dump it to his teammate. This one is going to be picked up by HSE, and the penalty here will stop the clock, as this will be a slash on Hamilton Southeastern. Looks like the guilty party is Connor Runo.
Go back to Sunling. We talk about his ability to score and not being in the lineup tonight after the 4 goals against Fishers, but he also leads this team in assists with 26. So whatever adjustment will have to be made by Hamilton Southeastern, somebody's got to pick up the slack in 2 really big categories for their offense.
Well, he was a midfielder last year, playing a lot of attack. This year he switched almost full-time attack, working from that X position, and that's part of the reason why he has so many assists. Is for that reason alone. He's been able to pass the ball because of his ability with his stick skills to move around behind the cage. This one's going to be a turnover. Closest one. Nice hustle play there. I believe that was Hayden Grace. It was.
Trumbull had a great shot from high. They tried to go low, another skip shot that went right in front of the keeper, Kreckler, but you notice Kreckler didn't bite that one. He saw exactly where that was from the time it left the stick all the way through.
Tight one so far here in Fishers. Hamilton Southeastern and Culver Academy. Thank you so much for being with us. Joey Lindstrom alongside Troy Darengowski. Jerry Collins, our producer. Nick Lewis, our cameraman. Doing a wonderful job as usual. These teams are both in the top 5 of 2A. Culver is 4th and Hamilton Southeastern is 3rd. Got it back behind the cage.
Today it's windy, it's a little bit cooler, but by Monday when we get into the mid and upper 80s, from here on out, it might be the last time these guys are going to be playing in any type of cooler weather, so get ready.
Yeah.
By the time we get to the state tournament time, and I know we're back here that Saturday, it could be really, really warm that day.
It feels like the last week, this past week was the very last week of kind of brisk weather throughout the day. Now we finally got a sunny day. Rained all week too, so this is nice to have.
Well, we didn't see sunshine for like 5 days. When it came out today, it was kind of unusual.
Yep. HSE seems to be a little bit out of sorts until they find their answer. Owen O'Rourke at the door. They said, "Be quiet, Mr. Announcer Man. We have an answer for you."
Well, that was a nice answer for sure, and they did a great job. Cut it right down, came from right to left, and you may get a chance to see it again here in a moment. Little hesitation once he received it. I think he was thinking, I've got to make sure I have this. And once he got in front of the keeper, it was all downhill from there for Culver. But that was a great shot. But the one thing about it, defensively, Culver knows, can't let those guys cut in like that unimpeded. Got to force him out of there.
Bones picking it up quickly. He's going to retreat to try to get this on an offensive possession. We've seen this before, where Hamilton Southeastern is tied, and then they go on a little bit of a run once they start to get a little bit of momentum.
Well, statistically, and if you want to look at this as that shot is wide, if you look at what Hamilton Southeastern, again, we talk about it, they get off to a very good start. They're averaging over 2 goals in that opening period of play per game, and they're about the same here in period 2. Third period, down under 2, but when they get to the fourth, they're about 5 goals per game. So Culver knows they can't let this thing get out of hand early, otherwise, because of the scoring power Hamilton Southeastern has, they don't want to be way behind in the fourth period.
That's valuable intel right there. I mean, to see how they operate and what time they do their best work, that's important. We unfortunately have an injured player on the field.
Looks like that's
Akira Barbara.
Yeah.
I'm going to check our replay here of this goal once again for HSC.
Now watch the cutter come in from the right side. There he is, right there.
O'Rourke right at the door. And, man, to finish with a bouncer like that's exactly what you need.
Well, he took that little step, and once he got everything behind him momentum-wise, that would have been a tough shot for anybody to stop. But, again, too close, and Culver knows they'll make those adjustments.
Go to break.
Try to push him out further away. But the one thing is he kind of snuck in there. He came from top to right and in, and a lot of the Culver players really didn't catch him.
Do you want to go to break?
One thing about Culver, too, they're probably not as deep right now as you see both the teams here, so they don't have the luxury of losing a player like Barbara this early in the contest.
Right. We're going to take a break here as they attend to Akira Barbara. Do not go anywhere. HSC and Culver on the way back after the break.
Needing to hire someone to take care of your loved one when you're away? Maybe your family member just needs someone to talk to when you're not around. Why not contact Indiana licensed Serenity Care Services? Call Angela, owner of Serenity Care Services, at 317-900-6202. Our team of trained and experienced personal care providers are licensed to serve seniors requiring companion care and light housekeeping services in Indianapolis and its 5 surrounding counties. Call us today at 317-900-6202. Now hiring qualified applicants.
Akira Barbara seems to be trotting off on his own strength, thankfully. I hope he's okay. Replacing him is Duke Nicholson for Culver at close D. Jaden Kerr is going to bring this one up on the clear.
We mentioned that a little bit ago. Depth-wise, they may not be as deep as Hamilton Southeastern, so they got to keep their starters in the lineup as much as they possibly can. Now, their frontliners are great. I mean, we've seen them so far here today, and Jaden Kerr is one of them right there.
He's going to rip a shot, and Kreckler's going to save it out front. Boy, that was close. You thought when he shot that, it had a real chance to go in. That had a little bit of fire behind it.
Well, and Kreckler, you know, one thing about it, we talked about him before, but he's got great instincts and saw that all the way there, too. And I think he kind of had a feeling that once you saw Kerr get loose, he was going to take a shot at it, and he was exactly right.
Turnover by Culver. This is going to give it back to HSC. There's a great defensive play on the other end by Hayden Lewis. Segocio caught it with one hand on his stick and lost it after the great check by the defender. HSC is going to get another chance here. Jerry, I think our clock's wrong. Garrett Smith's shot wide of the cage.
Well, that was another pretty good look as they were able to sneak from behind the cage, get right in front. Unfortunately, shot a little bit wide, but boy, we've seen Hamilton Southeastern again. If it's not there, they're patient. They come back. Let's call another play, get it set back up, and try it one more time. It can be so relentless against your defense that you really can't relax.
And Italiano, leading goal scorer for HSE, gets himself another. Michael Italiano's 33rd goal of the season.
Well, you're going to see it again, I'm sure, in the replay, just his ability to get open. And once he was able to get a left-hand look, it was all downhill there for Culver. You just can't let the Hamilton Southeastern players get that close-in shot. We talked about that earlier. You know, other teams have tried it, and they have failed. And look how he had such an open lane, and the defenders were stuck, almost frozen where they were. And if you're going to do that, he's going to score a lot of goals.
Man, missing slide there kills Culver on that play. Can they respond? This is Mason Smith winning the faceoff. And now it's 4-2 HSE. Biggest deficit of the game so far for Culver. Speaking of deficits, how bad are your Celtics doing against my Bucks?
They're probably getting cheated up there in Milwaukee. They're down by 11.
Okay, all right.
I just saw one of your Buck players take out a Celtic player on the sidelines, but that's how the Bucks play.
That sounds like fake news to me. Up top.
Well, that's how I perceived it when I saw it anyway.
Right. Of course. Yeah, just blame Grayson Allen in those situations.
Who doesn't?
Right. There's George Van Peet. Once again, he's already got 2 goals.
I think he went to Duke, didn't he?
That's right.
Please don't tell me you're a Duke fan.
No.
All right, good.
Yeah, you mentioned Notre Dame beat Duke earlier, and I was a little happy about it.
Good.
Behind X, being chased, and he's going to shoot that one wide. Lucky for Carmel, Stephen Gray there to chase.
Well, Peterson, he had that tough angle again. He's had a couple of opportunities when he's trying to shoot it from the left side, but his angle isn't very good. And when we talk about the size that you have in Kreckler, it's awful hard to get anything by him unless you can get him straight on and find an area. It's just awful hard to do left or right.
For a big guy, he is just so quick with his reflexes. It's very impressive.
I'm still going to stick with what I saw early. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Culver in the one goal. I just don't think he saw it.
Right.
Because it went right between his legs, and generally anything low he is very, very good at. So I'll ask him next time we see him, okay?
Right. Yeah. I'll hold you to it. Up top, here's O'Rourke once again. Already got the 1 goal. He's going to be tripped up. This is going to be a flag on Culver. Mario Esquivel Grajeda is going to be put to the box. And Culver's going to be a man down once again, their second time.
Yeah, this would be an interesting possession right here with 3:35. Don't want to give up one more going it at halftime. The reason I say that about Kreckler, and I've just got to make sure that when I tell him just to tell me that it was the sun, it makes me look smarter up here, see. So it's really all about me now. So.
That's right. Anything to make you look smarter.
Yeah, and my reputation as the color guy in this broadcast, I need help.
I think you do a great job.
Oh,
I know you need your positive affirmation.
Yeah, you're a good man.
Underneath, Garrett Smith just misses that catch. Culver is going to take this one again.
Garrett missed one of those earlier. We saw that at the opposite end where he just didn't. It was a great job there by Hamilton Southeastern moving the ball. I think he just takes his eye off it for a little bit. It kind of shows you once you do, you miss a scoring opportunity.
Sometimes the easiest things and fundamental things can trip you up, even in, you're so used to doing it all the time in practice or whatever, you don't even think about it sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of times that's good because we want to play on instinct in all sports and not have to think about things, because you start thinking about it slows you down a little bit. But he's had a couple of opportunities. I'm sure he'll adjust that once the game continues to go on here today.
Wagner stepped out of bounds on his clear attempt. Smith's going to fire, and that's going to be saved by Tuzik.
Boy, great job going low on that one, huh?
Wow, I think that was a foot save for number 10. And he's impressive in between the sticks.
I don't know if we have any numbers on how fast a ball comes out of that net as you see a turnover right there.
Garrett Smith on the run. And that one's wide of the cage. I don't know if Tuzik's foot affected that one or not, but it certainly looked like he had something to do with it. HSE's going to rebound here. And with 2:15 to go, I agree. There should be, advanced analytics. I know they have that in the Premier Lacrosse League. Sometimes I think when they get to Memorial Day weekend for college lacrosse, that is also something they track is ball speed.
And I just want to put people into the frame of mind of being a goalie. And it's like hockey too. How fast that puck or this ball is coming in there, and your reaction time has to be so good to see that.
Yep. Vitaliano, that ball is outside of the cage. Tuzik's going to save that one. Force team and begin their clear. Yeah, I never wanted to be a part of the goalie crew. No way. I played defense, and that was enough fear of shots for me.
Being a linebacker in college the way you were, I think you'd enjoy the pain.
Well, I was a tight end, so
that's right.
Yeah, right. I mean, I
forgot.
I enjoyed the contact. That's for sure.
You should have said, I was a tough linebacker. I was like Dick Butkus and those guys. You could have ran with that, but you turned it over.
Push with possession on HSE. Quinn Shefferly is going to be the guilty party, and Culver is going to be a man up after their penalty got killed.
Well, I won't set the table for you anymore trying to make you a tough guy, so forget it. I've done my part trying to.
Have you seen me now?
I know, but you're running like
I was playing at 255. Now I'm much less, and I don't want. I don't have to be a tough guy anymore.
Yeah, but now you're gonna do a triathlon.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. Anybody gonna film that or anything? Or?
No, and I won't let them.
Okay. I've heard of a lot of football players that'll do that. They'll end up losing weight and
try things that are miserable.
Yeah.
Almost there, and there it is. That ball is past the line. The scrum out in front. I'm not sure who to credit the goal to.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I thought the closest one was Hayden Grace out of Hamilton Southeastern.
Right.
Because he was diving for it, trying to get it out of the cage.
An unfortunate sequence there for HSE, but for Culver, they're thankful for it. We're identifying, Charlie Fall with that goal. That's his 17th on the year. It was his shot. Yep, he gets the rebound. Did it touch 17's stick, though? Kelly Reardon? Well, regardless, they can share it. They'll get a half.
Yeah. Either way, they're going to take that on the scoreboard. They'll figure all that statistical stuff out, I'm sure, later. But, yeah, that's a big goal right there for Culver. Did a great job.
Clock, Jerry.
Offense has been incredible here today, and they're staying right there and not letting this thing get away from them.
25 seconds left on the game clock.
I stole this from a kid.
As Culver gets ready to run their last play to try to tie this one up. 15.
Yeah, got to make a move here pretty quick, though.
Definitely. 5 seconds left to go. And it looks like Culver's just going to run this one out as they try. Last-ditch shot, and that one's wide of the cage. Past Kreckler, and that's going to bring us to the end of the half. Troy Darengowski, your first half thoughts?
Well, it kind of went as we expected when we found out that Sunling was going to play today. Adjustments were going to have to be made offensively, and Hamilton Southeastern certainly has other guys that can do the job. And I've been impressed with Culver staying right in there. They haven't let any of the deficits. They got out to a 1-0 lead, and though they fell behind, they kept coming back, got that late goal here in the second quarter, and they're where they want to be. We said earlier that you don't want this thing to extend too much in the lead, especially the way that Hamilton Southeastern can put goals on the board in the fourth quarter, averaging nearly 5, and that's a really, really tough thing to do, to come back from a deficit like that. So give Culver a lot of credit. They're playing, as you would expect, a ranked team, and I'm sure the rest of the way they're going to give Hamilton Southeastern everything they want in the second half.
Just the drama we wanted. 4-3 for the fourth team in the state and the third team in the state at the half. Thanks so much for being with us. We will be right back after our 15-minute halftime show, including the presentation of the trophies for HSE's state championship last season, so you definitely want to catch that during our halftime show. We'll see you on the way back here on Indiana SRN, the only place you can watch lacrosse in the state of Indiana.
Becoming a licensed sports official is a great way to make a positive difference in the community and support the over 160,000 Indiana student athletes that participate across 22 IHSAA sports. Sports officiating allows you to stay connected to the game, become a role model for our young student athletes, earn extra money, and support the patrons and communities of our IHSAA member schools. To learn more about becoming a licensed IHSAA official, log on to ihsaa.org/officials today.
We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at IndianaSRN. Find upcoming games, video highlights, and much.
You want a career that will transform your life while you change the lives of others by helping them live well. With a health or exercise sciences degree from IUPUI School of Health and Human Sciences, you will gain an in-depth understanding of the healthcare industry while preparing you for a variety of graduate and professional programs in health. And with Indy as your classroom, you will have clinical options within leading hospitals right in our backyard, as well as a degree from Indiana University, reputable leaders in the healthcare industry. It all starts here.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
Burtner Electric Incorporated has been proudly serving our residential and commercial customers with quality electrical repair for over 33 years. We are fully licensed and insured in electrical wiring and electrician service packages. You'll receive a competitive assessment whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, first-time or long-time customer. We offer free estimates for any new project. Call our licensed and experienced electricians today.
Can't make it to the game? We've got your back. Just go to www.IndianaSRN.org and tune in to all of the live action or go to our on-demand service and relive your favorite moments.
Challenge was really one of the main reasons why I came to Culver. At my public school, my freshman year, I could kind of like walk into classes and not pay attention and get A's. I felt that I wasn't living up to my potential, so that was really the biggest reason why I started to look at Culver. And like now that I'm here, it's like I have to work hard for things, and that's probably the most valuable skill that I've learned at any point in my life, is that if you really want something, you have to work for it.
Culver allows you to experiment with so many different aspects of academics, varying from space sciences to ceramics. We have anything you could possibly imagine. And so if you're itching to try something new in the arts or try a new sport or any other extracurriculars you could even imagine, Culver's the place for you.
There's a lot of things that I love about Culver, but one of the best things is brotherhood in the barracks.
Culver is going to make sure you come out with a family, girls and guys that are willing to support you.
I've met the most amazing people at Culver that I don't think I ever would have met at my local high school. The best discovery that I had there was my friends. The diverse backgrounds that we come from are incredible.
People are so excited to talk to me since I'm like an international student. They really want to know about me. They really want to know what's going on in my country, what's going on with me. It made me feel like at home. They become my second family.
The independence it gives you really allows you to find out who you are.
Culver has definitely taught me confidence and being comfortable in my own skin.
It's just a huge leadership laboratory because you can apply anything you learn about leadership from Culver in everything you do there.
Being a leader among your peers feels great. Everyone looks up to you, but it takes a lot of work. You have to be yourself all the time. You have to show yourself as the best person you can be.
Between that top-tier education and the environment, it allows you to achieve a potential that you never thought you could have.
If you are willing to push yourself and willing to learn and willing to be open-minded to develop yourself into the best person you can be, then Culver's the place for you.
Teachers always will be able to help you. You just have to talk, and they will know what you're going through, and they will help you.
When you get there, it's going to be something you've never experienced before, and it's going to be really hard for those first couple weeks, but you're going to get a once-in-a-lifetime experience that can't be replicated anywhere else in the world. Culver is the best challenge on earth.
Welcome back to Hamilton Southeastern in our coverage. Well, those players look a lot smaller than the ones you saw on your screen before.
but they're off to a good start, though.
Yeah, they are off to a good start. So while you get entertained, we'll continue to give you a brush on the some of the plays we saw from the first half of our game, including this one. This was the second goal for Hamilton Southeastern from Connor Runo in his second of the day.
Yeah, and when he winds up and gets that thing going, it's awful hard to stop. But we've seen that time and time again this season, just how powerful he is. And that's one thing about it. If you're gonna stop him, get a stick on him and don't let him get open.
And then this one from George Van Peet in between the legs of Kreckler. You mentioned maybe there was a sunspot or what have you for Kreckler there, but overall that's been the way that Culver has been able to penetrate this defense of Hamilton Southeastern and get goals, is by putting the ball in spots where he can't get to.
Yeah, and again, either way, it was a great shot, though, and he went low that time, and something we didn't figure that a lot of teams are going to do is go low on Kreckler, but he did, and it was just an excellent shot. Didn't have a great angle, but he was able to get it between the legs.
This was a great play, too. Owen O'Rourke, number 9 in the middle of your screen, floats in between to the defense and finds the space and bounces it home.
Yeah, you saw the two defenders out front, and they kind of lost where he was. I think if they would have followed him over to that side, he wouldn't have been able to do that. First off, he wouldn't have received the ball, but you could see both heads kind of turn, and I know you got to keep your head on a swivel and find those guys, but they were too late in the reaction for Culver.
And the way this game has gone, we've seen a lot of different plays from a lot of different guys that have helped, including this one by Michael Mataliano, his 33rd goal of the year.
Yeah, can't let him get in there. We talked about that earlier. Culver will make those adjustments. You know, the one thing, neither team really stayed a whole lot in their huddles when it came to halftime. They kind of separated, have some individual talk, and one of them is Don't let that penetration get so deep and close to the cage. Defenders got to push those guys out beyond the area where they can really get a good look.
Yeah, you definitely need to do that, and especially in a time when it's a close game as well. You got to be tight on your defensive plays. And finally, this one with Culver again. There's a great setup here by Sam Trumbull. You see the way that they move around. This is a rebound by Fall, and then another touch here possibly by Kelly Reardon. We'll give them both a half credit there maybe, but that was a great goal as well. Just one of those things that, well, it just so happened that it went in, and they'll take it.
Well, sometimes it is better to be lucky than good, and the thing is they needed that goal right there, because we were talking about not having Hamilton Southeastern extend that lead. But if you watched Kreckler right there, he tried to scoop that up, and once he took his eye off it and went off his stick, it was all over because he was so far out of position he couldn't make it back anyway. Really not his fault in any way. He just didn't get it cleanly. I think if he gets it cleanly, they would be in really good shape right there.
4-3 is our count at half. A few more minutes here before we see the second half action on IndianaSRN between HSE and Culver. Excuse me. Whoa. Do not go anywhere. More lacrosse on the way back. Welcome back to IndianaSRN's coverage of HSE versus Culver. Hey, we want to give a quick shout. We have the HCAC Baseball Championships this week on IndianaSRN. Thursday there will be 3 games. Friday there will be 3 games, and on Saturday there will be 2. And that will we will have a crowned champion. The top 5 teams in the conference will be playing in that tournament.
Well, and that's always, listen, the Heartland Collegiate Athletic Conference, we covered them in football and basketball this season, was down, of course, in Hanover covering the men's basketball tournament. We're in Transylvania covering the women. The baseball tournament, there are a lot of really, really good teams in there, and that top 5 that'll be in that tournament are going to be very, very close together. I don't think there's a dominant team in that entire bunch. I was mentioning to you a little bit ago, I was watching one of the scores earlier today. The one team that was going to try to win that thing outright in the regular season ended up losing that first game at Manchester. So I'm going to be curious to see. They were winning game 2, but that probably hurt their seeding. They may not be number 1. If they would have been, they would have been tied, I believe, for the regular season championship. So whatever happens, it's going to be wide open, and generally what you see, the team with the best pitching will end up coming out of that.
And that's what's so fun about those conference tournaments. You get to see a lot of different players show up. Maybe they haven't had the best regular season, or maybe they've had the best regular season of their lifetime, and they finally get to show out in the postseason.
Well, there's so many. Listen, let's be honest about it. There's so many of them from Indiana. And even in Ohio and Illinois, because Terre Haute and Rose Hulman on that side, you have Earlham and Richmond on that side. You're down, of course, around the Louisville area as well with Hanover, but there's so many Indiana-born and bred players that it's just a lot of fun to watch them, and you've seen a lot of them in high school. Now you see them in Division III college as well.
Set for the second half here in Fishers. Mason Smith and Gavin Wright at the face-off X. They split in that first half. We're underway. Nolan Canese dumps it over to Garrett Smith.
You know, we were talking about these two teams when they split at halftime, as you hear a whistle. When they split at halftime, their meeting was very, very short. I kind of watched both sides, and it didn't last a long time. I was watching a little bit on Culver, maybe more than I was Hamilton Southeastern, and they had a couple of individual meetings, but I think they feel very good here in the second half. And you know, I'm a huge proponent of how you start a half and how you finish a half, and Culver, again, only down by 1, has to feel good here in the third.
I think it really should if you're Culver. You know, you look at even just the sidelines and the roster size. You're a little bit undermanned as far as numbers go. Great interference with the stick by the short stick defensive midfielder, Mario Grajada. And it feels like if you're Culver, you've kept the pressure on enough to make HSC's world just a little bit more tedious.
Yeah.
And I think that's been enough to push some turnover, to cause some turnovers and push them over the edge a bit.
Well, I always want to make sure that if I'm the opposing team, I want to make everything uncomfortable for the team I'm playing. So whatever my strategy is going to be, I want to try to attack the weakness on the other team. Now, some teams you run into, there just aren't very many weaknesses, so you really have to play to your strength and do it very, very well. And I think Culver's patience has been very, very admirable today. They've just done a nice job not forcing. If it's not there, we're going to come back. We're going to live for another day, get another possession, because when you now get into the fourth quarter, I think how many possessions you have is going to be really key. Now, I just love what they do right here, and you're going to make that defense work a little bit. If you find a seam, you find an alley you can look at and get a good shot right here, all the better.
George Van Peet's shot just a little bit too tall for the cage.
But Hamilton Southeastern, their defenders, those long stick defenders, they do such a great job of getting stick on stick and making. We talk about being uncomfortable. They make you uncomfortable on offense because they're not going to give you very many clean shots. They want to get a stick on you as much as they can.
Charlie Fall getting a lot of trouble by Nolan Knies. Good defense there, working around the X. Here's Trumbull. Working off the slide. That shot a little bit easy there for Kreckler to pick up. Over to Knies. He's going to be hit and bumped. Gets it up to Askins. And HSC's got numbers briefly. Well, they had it. Now Culver gets another defender on.
Well, here's what they do well.
Left open was Matthew Retzner, but he gets his shot saved.
See, that's what Hamilton Southeastern does so well, and you want to slow them down. Once you get past midfield, you got to find a way to really slow those people down from their sprint and make them get back out and reset it in half instead of letting them make that move all the way down the field.
And that transition play was very nearly dangerous for Culver. Good giving up their fifth goal. Got to watch out here. Substitution, little strategy there by Scott Beasley and the HSE staff to try to delay their substitution and sneak up as a defender.
Yeah, Stephen Gray didn't see the guy coming behind him right there, and you end up turning the ball over. Could be a big key right here for Hamilton Southeastern.
Quincy Grace, a big enforcer on this team. Here's Gastineau. Gets past Tuzik and gives Hamilton Southeastern their fifth goal of the game.
Well, there it was. You have the turnover. Unfortunately, it cost Culver right there, but then you're going to have to forget about it, and you get back on defense, but you're going to see it again. Just look how close this shot is in front of the cage, and that's something Culver is going to have to adjust to and force those Hamilton Southeastern players out a little bit further. Take a look.
See him getting blocked up in front. The slide came from Kerr, but Gastineau's shot just beat it.
Now, that might be a better shot than you really think because he had two defenders right in front of him, so give him credit on the shot. That was a great look.
Mason Smith is going to get tagged here for holding, and looks like that's going to be a delay of game.
Well, they got Mason Smith right there.
Yeah, they did. So I think what happened there is as he interfered with the ball, sort of threw it, I think something happened, maybe inadvertent, that it got kicked or something, but this is going to be just a 30-second penalty for Culver, so there'll be a man down. Let's see if HSE takes advantage in this time that they've got a man on this Culver Academy squad.
Well, they've got something. There's no doubt about it. They know they're man up right here, and when they play this half, they've been very, very good when they're man up. Watch for that dive in the middle someplace where they can see if they get an opening, but they're going to have to work pretty quick.
Back behind, Garrett Smith has the short stick defensive midfielder on him. He's going to get over to Italiano. Great defense by Culver to give a poke. Ooh. And that pass on an error is going to be scooped. Maybe not. Loose ball push, HSE. And this will remain, actually this will go to the Eagles.
Yeah, that you talked about the defense. I thought their defense was excellent right there for Culver. Now you got to do something with it offensively, but Hamilton Southeastern just was not able to take advantage of their man up. Boy, but another big turnover there by Culver.
Yeah, Jaden Kerr launched that one to try to clear it quickly. It briefly touched the stick of George Van Peet, but they lost it. Hamilton Southeastern gains it back. We're back to even strength. It doesn't matter. Michael Italiano snipes one. The third quarter trend looming that you alluded to earlier, Troy, or this is the quarter that they have separated themselves from much of the competition they've played this year.
Well, I want to see this again. I'm sure we will, because he's going to go low with it. The keeper, as you'll notice, his legs are spread a little bit too far. He didn't stay low to where he should have, and he just couldn't get down fast enough to stop that goal. But the one thing about it, that's a heck of a shot that time by Italiano, because he is so good at that, and he can put so much behind his shot that it's awful hard to see it coming. But great job of Hamilton Southeastern. And they've taken advantage of two big mistakes.
Yes, they have. Take advantage of that clear and the man-up opportunity. You see kind of the muddled chaos from Culver to try to get back to even strength, try to coordinate where they are. Italiano easily snipes that one through. Looks like there's a ball on the field or something or the other from the kiddos. They couldn't get enough at halftime.
I don't blame him. When I was a kid, of course, we didn't play lacrosse, but football, you're always down in the sidelines playing, and there's actually two of them down there.
Hard not to have those fly out there sometimes. Well, here we go. HSE's possession. We'll start up top. Trying to work it across. That's going to be intercepted by Tuzik as Culver begins their clear.
I would think at Hamilton Southeastern like to maybe have that one back right there. Wasn't a very good look at the point that they had, and not a really good angle either. So, but we've seen Culver now in a couple of possessions where they've turned it over, and they really could use something positive right here and cut down to that 3-goal deficit.
As they sub on, Charlie Fall just running away with it. He does have a step. He's going to take a shot. Kreckler's going to save it. Off the rebound. Again, another save by Kreckler.
Well, time and time again, we talk about what Kreckler's able to do in goal, and everything that Culver gets, I mean, they really have to earn it because he is so good, and he wasn't fooled at all. I mean, they had a one-on-one against him, and he stayed right in front of the guy and didn't allow him to fake him one way or another, and that was a great job. Just stayed right in the middle of his cage. That's an excellent job.
Steve Gray had him dead to rights if he wanted, and Kreckler's right ankle keeps the lead at 3 for HSE. In transition, shot off the post.
Well, Tuzik, tell you what, he saw it coming, and he had to keep his eye on what was coming up front and on him, but he had to keep an eye on what was on around the perimeter as well. But he did a great job, but just a little bit off the mark on the shot. But that's something, again, Culver's going to have to adjust to. They cannot let that happen. They got to find a way to keep forcing, and make sure that nothing is a clear lane all the way to the cage, because it has hurt them a couple of times here today.
There's Bruno, gets behind. Back to Garrett Smith. Askins again. Culver aggressively pressing out on their defensive slides. Falling down is their defender. Trying to feed it to Italiano. That's save. What an athletic play by Tuzik.
Boy, Tuzik, not sure if he saw it all the way. He had to, but that was an excellent shot, and Tuzik, give him a lot of credit for making a great save.
Yeah, no doubt. Falling down, trying to track the ball. Here's Garrett Smith, the Ohio Wesleyan commit. Can Culver pick this one up in transition? No loose ball push call. A lot of fighting in the scrum. What a move! Sam Trumbull got the numbers. Takes the shot wide of the cage.
Oh, they had a great opportunity right there.
The rare swim dodge by Sam Trumbull. Doesn't end in a goal for Culver on that possession. And that one's saved by Kreckler.
Boy, they had a really good look, though. Well, those are the kind you really need to capitalize on when you have an opportunity.
And now here's another chance for Hamilton Southeastern.
Yeah, I think this is huge now for Culver. Again, you're down by 3. You don't want to go into that fourth quarter in a huge deficit, knowing what Hamilton Southeastern has been able to do throughout the year in the fourth quarter as well. So it's going to be a big 355 the rest of the way for Culver.
There's Caleb Johnson. Dishes it inside. That one is dropped. Scooped up again by Garrett Smith.
Yeah, that ball got loose. One thing you got to do if you're Culver, make sure those 50-50 balls don't go back to Hamilton Southeastern.
A lot of this wind affecting the way that some of the debris coming on here. Looks like that's a bucket hat. Now the referee has said, enough play, children.
Get out of here.
Well, yeah. Scram, kids.
Well, and one thing about it is, just from a safety standpoint, players working behind the cage, you don't want to step on a ball that nobody sees and things like that. So
right,
this is a good call by the official.
3.5 left to play here at HSE. Garrett Smith, defended by Kerr, out in front. Nobody home. This is going to be picked up by Grayson Treat. Gastineau back behind to Smith. Briefly drops it. No pressure, though, by Kerr. Back behind X. There's Kai Trott. I believe Tuzik affected that one.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Tuzik's done a nice job. You see those shots going low, and he's really done a nice job staying down there with the ball, seeing it all the way through. Well, boy, we got to get that ball back if you're Culver. After a while, defensively, bottom line is you just get kind of tired of chasing all the time.
Definitely, there's definitely some attrition that sets in. But Tuzik, no attrition there. Eats that shot there on that. And now Hamilton Southeastern has the rebound. Interfered with in front. Does that ball cross the line? It doesn't. Tuzik saved it.
Yeah, nice job. Good reaction that time by Tuzik, no doubt about it. But I'll tell you what, somebody deflected that shot or got a stick on stick out front, because it started to have really good English on it. Next thing you know, it didn't have the same that it did by the time it got to Tuzik. So good job defensively by Culver.
One of those things, such as in hockey, where sometimes the redirect is much harder to see than the actual shot.
Well, I think this is a big possession right here again for Culver, and then get something, get it down to 2.
Great moves, Trumbull, score! Penalty ensuing on Hamilton Southeastern, but Sam Trumbull busts it through.
Yeah, Trumbull did exactly what they needed to do, and he went bouncing, and it was a high bounce, too. It wasn't something that went down low on Kreckler. It bounced really high, which is unusual to get a shot in like that, but Culver's going to take it no matter what.
See this again. What a great individual effort. We saw him before with his nifty move on the swim dodge. He worked his way right through the Hamilton Southeastern defense, and now Culver draws within 2.
You don't see that happen very often with Hamilton Southeastern. All their defenders kind of slid over to that right side of Kreckler, and the next thing you know, it's almost like a one-on-one straight up front.
Here's Bones. On the run, he'll carry this to the right side of the offensive zone.
And I'm not so sure if I'm Hamilton Southeastern right here, if I can go ahead and play for one right here. I probably would try to do that. Don't give Culver another possession here at the end of the third. And if I get that goal back, Again, we've always talked about it and have throughout the broadcast, that fourth quarter for Hamilton Southeastern is always big.
Askins with the absolute rip, but Tuzik stands tall. Great save. That was on his opposite side. 50 seconds to go in the quarter. Turnover here on the clear for Culver. Gives a chance to the long pole off the post. Dylan O'Rourke almost had that chance. It's going to be a stoppage. Looks like a hold on Culver. Definitely an off-ball foul.
You know, Tuzik tried to clear that to midfield. Unfortunately, that wind behind him a little bit kind of carried the ball and forced a turnover that time and gave Hamilton Southeastern another opportunity.
HSE is going to take a timeout here, and we'll take one with them. You're watching HSE versus Culver on IndianaSRN. We'll catch you on the break.
Entrepreneurs are often the hardest working, most beloved, and inspirational people on the planet. People who lead with heart and are fueled by passion. People like Randy, who found time while running his restaurants to put 3 adopted kids through college. Like Rebecca, who switched careers as an architect to achieve her dream of opening a music venue. And Mia, who turned an after-school hobby into an online floral empire. Entrepreneurs put the time in, lead by example, spark ideas, and impact communities, all while shaping the financial future of their families. Nearly 1 million entrepreneurs trust Heartland to provide the technology to make money, move money, manage employees, and engage customers. Because we're entrepreneurs, we're people, and we get it.
There we go. Welcome back to Hamilton Southeastern. Joey Lindstrom alongside Troy Derengowski. Well, this game has been tight. 6-4 is a low score most of the time for lacrosse, and it's because of some of the great defense we've seen from both squads, and especially the goalkeeping as well. Both these goalkeepers have really stepped up, specifically Tuzik for Culver right now.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's done a great job, and they've been some very, very difficult saves. Just an incredible day, and I like the way he plays low as well. It appears if you're going to get a goal, and though Hamilton Southeastern has done it a couple of times straight on, you're going to have to go low and try to get it between the wickets somehow, because anything you're shooting today, you're earning it. It just has not been an easy day for either offense, and you know, bottom line is when you get into tournament play, that's going to be huge key. And I know once we get to that state championship round, we'll talk a lot about that. But those guys in goal are just phenomenal today and have done a fantastic job. And a lot of times it happens in their, I guess, in a lot of ways, not on the right side of things from a standpoint. Their defenders have kind of left them open there. So we'll see how that all works out the rest of the way.
So this looks like an illegal stick. Either the pocket was too deep or something with the shaft or the head or what have you. Shane Gastineau.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. So he'll serve a penalty. And Hamilton Southeastern will have an unreleasable penalty for a minute. So that will carry over into the fourth quarter if Culver does not score. Regardless, though, the Eagles are up 1 man. Not really, unless it's wet. That's on him.
Yeah, you were mentioning the stick situation. I heard you say there a little bit ago off air. It is on him, so the player needs to make sure that's well taken care of. And they had a big goal right there.
Van Petersum, a huge rip, bouncer between the legs of Kreckler again. Exactly where he placed it earlier in the first half. And brings Culver back in within 1.
Well, how big is this end of the third quarter being for Culver? I mean, exactly what they had to do, especially when they had 2 straight turnovers there and gave Hamilton Southeastern a golden opportunity. As you take another look at it, that's a heck of a goal.
Yeah, it is.
But again, Culver looked like, we're in trouble. You're down 6-3. You made a couple of big mistakes, but you come right back with those 2 goals, and now we've got a brand new game heading into the fourth quarter.
Make it a little more interesting here at HSE. Third quarter winds down. And boy, are we in for a dramatic one.
It's going to be fun
to finish this one off. Culver and HSE on the way back for the fourth quarter on IndianaSRN.
After the Marine Corps, I was diagnosed with PTSD and became homeless for 15 years. Like a hermit living on the street, I just existed. I came to Wheeler Mission. Wheeler operates on a culture of kindness. Going through their programs reminded me that my meaning in life is to serve God. God set me free from anxiety and depression. Before Wheeler, I just existed, but today I live.
Welcome back to Hamilton Southeastern. Joey Lindstrom and Troy Derengowski with you. Well, after Culver went a man up due to an illegal stick from Shane Gastineau of HSE, it is now 6-5. And this game has just been going back and forth. Defensively, let's see this replay again. George Van Petersum was just open on an island after his man left him alone. And they take advantage of that man-up opportunity, Troy, and that really helped him because now you feel like Culver now has just sucked the momentum out of HSE's side.
Yeah.
And just acquired it themselves.
Well, the one thing about the Gastineau situation with the stick is, if I'm not mistaken, they randomly check those, right? It isn't something like you just do, and because bottom line, you got so many sticks out there, but randomly you check those, or maybe an official may see something that looks a little bit unusual, and you'll check it. So that's what happened there. It isn't something that they, consciously do every second of the match. But I got to give Culver credit. Again, you looked at what could have been a disastrous third quarter. And when they made those 2 turnovers, and then when Tuzik tried to clear that ball to midfield and he overthrew, the next thing you know, Hamilton Southeastern's coming back again, and I'm like, we're in trouble.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, bam, just like that, it changed.
Yep.
So what you see is you have 2 state-ranked teams who've adjusted well on both sides, and Culver said, you know what, we're not done yet. And when they picked up that 4th goal, you kind of felt it swing a little bit. But then when they got that 5th, you're right, we have a brand new game right here. This is going to be fun to see what happens the last 12.
The drama in Class 2A today. Culver's varsity squad contending with the defending state champions. There's Logan Askins behind the cage. The penalty is unreleasable. So HSE is still a man down. And as they await this penalty kill, Scott Beasley's trying to get some subs on. Here's a chance, though. Connor Runo painting the top corner.
I'll tell you what, that's unbelievable. But you know what? We've talked about it time and time again, how difficult it is for a goalie to go up. Because your momentum, you got to carry all that up, and it's easier when you're down to work down low, but that's a heck of a shot right there by Runo. That's just crazy stuff.
Absolutely left on an island, and he can rip that shot. A lot of high school players don't get the respect of that area. Okay, we'll dare you to take a shot from that far out. He can rip it from there from about 15 out, and that is a very skillful shooter you're letting have the ball up top, and he takes advantage. Hat trick for him today, too.
Well, and we shouldn't be surprised. We've seen him enough. We've seen him do it time and time again. So for anybody who's seeing him for the first time, you go, wow. It shouldn't be a wild factor for us because we've seen it before, but it always just is amazing how he can wind up and put so much behind those shots. And if I'm a keeper like Tuzik, listen, don't feel bad, young man, because he's done it to a lot of keepers.
Trumbull with the shot, trying to get past Kreckler. Maybe a bit rushed there. And he's going to get a unnecessary roughness, most likely. hit a player after he shot that ball. Italiano back underneath. Here's Smith finishing.
Yeah, great way to come back. And, you know, when you're a state champion like Hamilton Southeastern, they have responded because we went, uh-oh, and now all of a sudden you're back up by 3. But I'll tell you what, Smith, in that goal right there, he got Tuzik to commit. And the next thing you know, he went around him instead of high, and Tuzik couldn't do anything because, again, Culver allowed him to get so much depth in on this shot. Watch this again.
Yeah, Italiano gets it down to Trot, and it's just a little 3-man weave action up to Garrett Smith to dunk it.
But you can see how Smith was high and came right back around and went right past Tuzik on that goal. But again, let's go back to what we said earlier. 4.8 goals in the fourth quarter. They've already scored 2. We haven't even played 2 minutes into the quarter. That just shows you how dominant Hamilton Southeastern has been in scoring in the final period throughout the entire season.
Well, it was an interesting development. We'll see what Culver does to respond here, as now they are a man down after Trumbull's hit on the Hamilton Southeastern defender after a shot.
Yeah,
8-5.
This is big right here if you're Culver. You really need to get a stop again. You know, sometimes you only have so much gas in the tank to keep making comebacks, and we'll find out what Culver's made of right here. How many more times can they make a comeback here today?
Back over to Smith. And HSAA will work this around. Typically in your man down unit, you don't always need to go back behind a cage. But they're going to send Smith down there. There's Gastineau.
Well, and Smith works really good behind the cage, too.
Yeah, he's one heck of a facilitator. Italiano had some sauce behind that shot.
Hey, you can hear Culver. Anytime you get a chance to hear the players, they're talking. There's a lot of communication going on because they know got to play a little zone right here, being down a man.
Well, now they're back to even strength. What a shot by Garrett Smith. Top shelf.
Yeah, they were at even strength, but he was coming on, so they really didn't have much of an opportunity to get a stop. But, boy, again, Garrett Smith, we just talked about how he plays behind the cage right there, and he snuck in there and did a great job. That's just an excellent execution by Hamilton Southeastern.
His 28th goal of the year. 29th, excuse me. He just had the other one. Off 1 foot as well. That is a college-level goal right there. That's something you see in the ACC.
Boy, and that's tough. And again, for Tuzik to know that you got to watch Smith, you know how dangerous he is behind you, and to know how quick he came out from behind the cage and got the reception and able to get that shot off. It's just a great, great shot. So again, the numbers just don't lie when you're a team like Hamilton Southeastern and you excel so much in the fourth quarter. And again, we're only 9:39 and they've scored 3 goals already.
Right. It's one of those things where I think you poke the bear enough and eventually he's going to wake up. This is a Hamilton Southeastern team that has been a second-half team every time we've seen them play.
Well, and again, they've got another opportunity, and Culver knew they could not give, what do we say in the pregame? You can't give a bunch of opportunities again to the other team, especially a high-scoring team like Hamilton Southeastern. And I remind you, they're still doing this without Sundling. Your leading assist guy and one of your leading scorers on the season, and yet they're able to do it against a very good Culver team.
9 minutes to play here in the fourth. It was 6-5 at the start of our fourth quarter. And Hamilton Southeastern quickly extended their lead. Over the top, that one is saved by Tuzik, and this one is going to be a penalty on Culver.
You know, we've been watching Hamilton Southeastern for a while now, and we saw them last year in their state championship run. Their scoring in bunches is not a surprise either. I mean, we talked about that earlier, that way they can go 1, 2, 3, and the next thing you know, they got 3 goals within a matter of, it seems like, seconds. So for those that are tuned in, that are seeing Hamilton Southeastern for the first time, don't be surprised when we see them or possibly see them again in another state championship run, their ability to score the way they do. And you saw earlier, I mean, they had all those seniors from last year's team here today and lost all that talent, yet it just seems like they just replaced everybody that they lost.
Yeah, it was cool being able to see them have their ceremony, those seniors returning to finally hoist that trophy once again. Runo. Sheesh. Dude hit the weight room in the offseason, you can tell.
I think he was trying to take out the scoreboard. He's shooting that one so hard.
I guess so.
In other words, his shot, he's taking no prisoners. I mean, there's no doubt about that at all.
Garrett Smith was at the door. What a pass on the feed by Quincy Grace.
Yeah,
what a great save by Tuzik.
There's another turnover by Culver.
Yep, can't have those on the clears.
And if you're Hamilton Southeastern, they know, hey, listen, you know, we're up by 4.
And now they're up by 5. Connor Runo on the run.
Well, he had the dive right down the lane, and it was wide open, and you left basically a one-on-one with Tuzik, and that's like taking candy from a baby when you let him get that close.
A great goal on the run for Connor Runo, his 4th of the day.
Yeah, look at this dive right here. That's not even fair for Tuzik.
Certainly can't lose your defender or your offensive player like that if you're Culver's defense.
You know, Joey, I was going to make a mention before the goal. The one thing that Hamilton Southeastern has the luxury of doing now, and again, not only is the scoreboard on their side, they take their time when it comes to offensive possessions. And they can run a lot of time off the clock the rest of the way, and if you can limit Culver in how many possessions left, do they have enough? When you start doing the mathematics, they wouldn't have enough left.
No, certainly not. I mean, they need to get something going and quickly. It's going to be a slash on somebody. It's going to be Culver, actually. And that is 42. Hayden Lewis, his first penalty. And he's going to take time in the box. This will be released if HSE scores. By the way, I just want to give a shout out to my beloved Milwaukee Bucks for the victory. Sorry about it, Troy.
I got to tell you, I knew that. I told you earlier, a lot of weird stuff goes on in Milwaukee when it comes to officiating, but how Marcus Smart shoots a 3, gets bumped, and he doesn't get the 3 free throws.
All I'm saying is you guys had the chance at the end there. Horford just a little late in his old age. That's made to be a great series. Just as this game has been made to be a great game, HSE is on a stretch right now. 4 unanswered in this 4th quarter. That one ripped way up top. Garrett Smith, confident as ever. He's got the last 2 goals before Connor Runo just dumped one in.
Culver now, they're going to have to work a lot faster than maybe they're comfortable with, but I'll tell you what, be careful of your Tuzik.
Well, Tuzik had some nice moves and some good stick work to try to get that one across and try to clear. This is going to be another failed clear by Culver. They just haven't been able to find the ball offensively. And that was almost another chance.
Yeah,
Garrett Smith again.
You're right, Joey. There's no doubt about it. They've got to do a better job, Culver, of clearing. And I'm not sure Tuzik made a really smart decision right there. But I think what he wanted to do is he wanted to clear it downfield. But remember, the last time he tried that, ended up in a turnover there. So it wasn't really planned out very well by Tuzik.
Sometimes it just becomes chaotic, and it's just a bunch of improv when the goalie just decides to clear it himself.
Well, I think the other players are kind of wondering, what do I do here? You know, it's like putting your center at quarterback, and everybody's looking around going, what's going on here? And you're not sure why you're out of position, but that's something that I'm sure they'll look at the film and eventually make sure that doesn't happen again.
Caleb Johnson tried to rip one. It goes wide of the cage.
And, you have an opportunity here when you're the Royals and you only have 5.5 minutes to go. You can take some shots and take a couple extra gambles here and there, but knowing full well when you get the possession back, you can still use a lot of clock. And force Culver into maybe making some mistakes they normally wouldn't do, because now they got to take some chances.
Johnson again over to Trott. And that's going to be a yard sale. Great defensive work there. Akira Barbaro, good to see he's okay.
Oh!
What a hit on the outside. It's going to be Culver's ball.
Yeah, and I was going to say Culver now trying to force the action a little bit more, get a little more physical if they possibly can, because possessions, again, will be the key here for the last 5-12.
And a timeout on the field by Culver Academy. We'll take one with them. You're watching Culver and HSC on IndianaSRN. You just saw it there, the HCAC Conference Championship. The top 5 teams doing battle up in Kokomo. First game starts at 12:30 right here on IndianaSRN. We have 3 games on Thursday, 3 on Friday, and the final 2 on Saturday to crown a champion in the HCAC. We talked about it earlier, Troy, but that conference has been so good to us, and we've been thankfully able to do so many of their games. It's been so much fun to be a part of that conference.
It is, and as I mentioned in our last break, the one nice thing about it is you see a lot of these players that come up through high school and they'll stay and go to Franklin or Hanover or Manchester, whatever the case may be, so you really follow their college careers as well. So it's going to be fun. I tell you what, I don't know how that whole seeding's going to turn out by this time it's said and done. I did see that Earlham won that second game against Manchester 12-3. I don't know how that sets them up for the regular season championship, but if they would have swept, as we said, they'd have been the number 1 seed. So we'll kind of wait and see once all the action is done today who the top 5 seeds are and when they'll play.
That'll be a lot of fun. The Heartland Collegiate Athletic Conference up in championship up in Kokomo for baseball here on IndianaSRN. And back to lacrosse, Logan Askins and HSC have a 5-point lead right now. And based on their efforts, they're looking to compound on that. Jaden Kerr, great defensive work on Garrett Smith to knock that one loose. Used his leverage to get stick side. Big hit there.
Well, Barbara must be feeling much better now. I know he got injured earlier, but he laid a good stick on that one. And again, but that's what we talked about earlier. Culver's going to have to take some chances. They have to play a little more physical right here because they've got to have many, many more possessions than Hamilton Southeastern the rest of the way. And they're just going to, again, a lot of times you'll play out of character right now because you're trying to hurry and make things happen when it normally isn't there.
Mickey Wagner, a Rambo effort. Past Kreckler, and he's going to save this one.
I like that, a Rambo effort.
Back behind the cage. This is the first possession we've seen from Culver in quite a while, it feels like.
Well, it has been.
Trumbull, wide of the cage.
I'd love to know, and of course we never keep the stats like that, what the time of possession was here in the fourth quarter, because it has been all Hamilton Southeastern.
George Van Peet gets some room. Boy, he has some great balance, man. He was getting hit by 2 defenders.
Yeah.
Somehow found himself, stuck his foot in the ground and ripped that shot. Only just to be wide, but still impressive.
And he's not a big guy either. But he really did a nice job. And that's not an easy thing to do. You're trying to get a shot. He didn't have a great angle right there, and the other defenders are pushing you and knocking you around and checking you like that.
That shot by John Michael Zimmerman. Wide of the cage. He was the most improved offensive player last season. Working hard against George Van Peet is Aiden Honer. He tries to get it across. Stick poked away. Zimmerman again. And they'll bring it back out.
Well, Culver wasn't very clean on that reception, and that's one thing you think, well, what's the big deal? I dropped the ball right there, but time running off the clock, and that's why it's so huge to make sure everything's clean like that one.
Yep, we are under 3 minutes now. Clock stopped here. And Kreko's going to save this one. I think this is going to be a penalty on IHSAA. Possible push with possession. It's going to be a
holding. Yeah.
Yep. So that one is on Nolan Canese. He'll serve some time in the box, and Culver will be man up. 2:44 on our game clock.
You know, you look at what Culver, they'll lose this one today, and that means they lose to Cathedral, they lose to Hamilton Southeastern. They ended up losing a high-scoring game against Westfield earlier, and you look at Cathedral, they were 12-3. Westfield was 10-4, record-wise to the top teams in the state in 2A. So they played a pretty good schedule. Now they need to cut down on some of the mistakes they made that really cost them here in the fourth quarter.
Definitely. If you can make the transition for your next game where you're improving your possible seeding later on, 4 or 5 games left in the season, that's going to be very important. A little bit of a no-look shot there for Sam Trumbull. Gets saved by Kreckler.
You know, I know Coach talked about their depth and such and their skill set. He's right. They've got the skill set to play with these other teams, but as those little lulls today that we saw and those turnovers, especially in the fourth quarter, they really made up for it in the third where they made a couple of mistakes, but they were able to counter and come back with a couple of big goals, but they weren't able to do it here in the fourth.
Well, Dave Bonner, the assistant, has been at Culver for a long time. He knows the way this program operates. Drew Lambert, first-year head coach for the varsity squad, out today. And if you're Culver, if you're looking ahead at Northridge, at Brebeuf, and then hosting Marion to finish out over the next couple weeks.
By the way, if you're curious about that baseball in the HCAC, the top 5 teams, so it looks like Franklin is number 1, Earlham is number 2, then Rose-Hulman is number 3, Hanover and Anderson all making the tournament. So those are going to be 5 very good teams. That's going to be a lot of fun because that Kokomo ballpark where the Jackrabbits play is, it's absolutely beautiful. Downtown Kokomo, very close downtown Kokomo, near the Memorial Stadium where the high school plays. So it's going to be a great place.
49 seconds to go here at Hamilton Southeastern. Last-ditch effort. That is going to be saved by Tuzik. You know, for the way that this fourth quarter went for Culver, you can't say enough good things about Tuzik, the way he's hung in there. Unfortunately, you know, in the clearing game, I think is the stark reason why Culver lost this lead, because they had so many turnovers on their clears.
Yeah, you don't want to put your goalkeeper in that situation that many times, and when Culver couldn't clear, and then when they were turning the ball over, that's not his fault.
Right.
For sure, but those are things that they'll work on and certainly get better at as they prepare for the last 2 weeks of the regular season and just try to make sure that, and again, they're not going to play a Hamilton Southeastern every week and every game, so they got that advantage, but they got to play these good teams, and they'll know where they stand the rest of the way.
Clock winds down, and Hamilton Southeastern is victorious thanks to a 4-goal effort in the final quarter of action. Troy Derengowski, your final thoughts as this season starts to get in the home stretch?
Well, 2 good teams. I'm not going to be surprised if we don't see them again against each other. I thought maybe the advantage would be Hamilton Southeastern because they're at home, but guess what? They'll be home again if they end up here in a state championship run. But, you know, Culver again, I think that they were right back in this thing. Give them credit in that third quarter because they could have folded right there after those 2 big turnovers. They didn't. But unfortunately, Hamilton Southeastern, the reputation is we get you in the fourth quarter, we're going to knock you out. And they did exactly that. Kept possession for the majority of the fourth quarter as well. got to make sure you get the clears out of there for Culver and get back on offense. Otherwise, you give Hamilton Southeastern, without one of their better players today, still got guys in there that can do the job, and they did it.
That they did. This is the final stretch of games, 4 or 5 left to go. And by the way, you can catch all the information you need about Indiana High School lacrosse on Indiana Lacrosse Weekly by IndianaSRN. Catch myself, Troy, and Coach Keith Myers chopping it up about lacrosse across the state. For Jerry Collins, for Nick Lewis, our videographer, and for Troy Darengowski, I'm Joey Lindstrom. Thanks so much for being with us. Have a safe and pleasant evening. This is IndianaSRN, the only home of Indiana High School lacrosse.
Both you guys get out of here. Yeah. Both you guys get out of here way too quick.
Don't we?
I never get a chance to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
We'll see.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Sure you don't want me help packing up?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll see you.
See you.
See you on the flip side. See you. Take care.
All right, Brian. See you safe.
Yep. I will be here.
Thank you very much.
The help gets out of here so quick. They really do. They just run right out of here.
Oh, I'm always, yeah.
We're still on. I got, coffee. Where's your next game, Brian?
We're here again. I think we're going to get here Wednesday, and then we go to Upper Arlington, which is outside Columbus, Ohio, on Friday. So we get a day trip. Who do we play Wednesday? I want to say it's Weston. Yeah, I think it's Weston. So we only got a couple more weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, when is it? The 6th is the 4th. Semis are the 1st, I think.
Yep.